Alright, so today's fun project is going to be replacing this jack here. If you take a look down here, you can see that there's residue of hydraulic fluid in the snap pad, and that's because it's had a slow leak that we've been monitoring. This last trip it actually produced quite a bit of hydraulic fluid. You can see the rag full of it here. So before we get stuck somewhere, we're going to go ahead and replace this jack. Fortunately, this is not a DRV with the really long jacks, so it should come out fairly easily and not to require a hole to be dug or anything like that. We just got to put it on the truck to give it some support, and then there's 6 bolts and 2 fittings to undo. I'm hoping this goes nice and smoothly. So we have our new jack here, bought directly from Lippert. It looks to be the right one. Came all ready to go. Little did I know, these are actually directional, so there's a right side jack and a left side jack. You gotta get the right one. I had found a new old stock that somebody had bought, but it was a left-hand one that I could have got a pretty good deal on. And I had it shipped directly from Lippert, and believe it or not, it was actually here the next day. Granted, we're only about 100 miles from their plant right now up here in Grand Rapids, but it was still nice that they got it out and shipped to me the actual next morning. So in here, we're going to disconnect those hydraulic lines, and then we're going to go ahead and disconnect the bolts. I'm not sure if there's 4 or 6. I think there's 2 below, but we'll get those, and then that should pull out, and then we'll just slide the other one in and reverse the process. In order to do this, we hooked up to the truck. The other option was to block it up, but the truck works fine here. It should be fairly quick replacement, and we should be able to move on. If you have an older DRV with the old style jacks with the big round tube on it, you'll probably have to dig a hole because they are super long. But this is the DRV that has the newer style jacks. So I've taken the fittings off. The first fitting you loosen will bleed out some hydraulic fluid, so I'd recommend that one there on the left. It's easier access. And then bucket or something to collect it, and then I just routed them up there. I don't have anything to put in the end of the hoses, so I wrapped the rag around them. There's no pressure on it right now, so that rag should be sufficient. This will probably drip a little bit, but we'll clean that up with a rag as well. The next step is to remove the fittings and then set them aside in someplace clean. I just wrapped them in another rag so that they don't get any contaminants in them. You can see that we're bleeding down a little bit of hydraulic fluid, so it's going to be a little bit of a mess, but not that big a deal. Now it's just time to remove the bolts and pull the jack out. I'm probably going to remove that bottom pad so that it can go up rather than down. I think that's going to be easier. And then pull that sucker out. So this is the pad taken off. Took the snap pad off first, then we took this off. This requires either a strap wrench or a big pair of channel locks. I'm trying to get this ram rebuilt if I can. Rumor has it that they're not rebuildable, so I used a rag between the channel lock and the ram to not scratch it up. Alright, so we've got this thing pretty much out. I had to do a little bit of trimming there on the wood and the floor covering, and then to get to the bottom ones, I could have done it without pulling that back, but it was easier just to remove the 2 screws and pull that that panel back. Otherwise you're going to be fighting with it. So the old one came right out the top because I had the foot taken off of it. I raised the trailer a little bit with the truck. That's one of the benefits of having an air hitch and air suspension. And I slid the bottom one in from the bottom because I didn't want to remove the pad. This is also a good time to take a look at your frame if you've got a DRV. Some of them have been breaking right here. Mine has not, thank God, but just a good time to double check when you got clear access and it's on the pin box, so it's an easy view. Make sure that nothing is breaking and all is good. We've got the jack in. We've got the bolts tight. I will say a couple of those bolts down the bottom were kind of difficult to get the nut on, but we've got it all set. Now we're going to pull out the covers there and put the fittings on, and then connect the hose, and then we'll give it a test run. We'll probably have to put some hydraulic fluid in, of course, and then we'll start buttoning it all back up, put some foam down there, some caulking, replace all that. Mat pad's back on. We closed up the bottom again, put the screws back in it. Everything is bolted in, fittings are reconnected, so now it is time to give it a shot. So before I start spraying the spray foam expanding insulation, I went ahead and put some blue tape up there just to block it in so it doesn't drip on down the legs. So this is the final product. We put some foam, expanding foam insulation everywhere in there, and then we caulked around where the rubber meets the jack. We've got the hoses hooked up, and if we go to the outside, you can see I didn't run the expanding foam down as far as the other one is. I don't like the look, and I may trim the other one, but just to make sure we didn't get water up into it, I went ahead and put some caulk on there as well. And you can see around here, it's fairly flush with the bottom of the RV. Unlike if you look over there, you can see how it all it makes a mess underneath the RV on the jack. And I just did it this way because I prefer the look.